Our guest today is Jason Holmes from Raconteurs News. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. Thank you for watching. Good evening, everybody. This is Paul from United Planet, and today's guest is Jason from Raconteurs News. Welcome, Jason.
Good evening, Paul. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How's yourself?
I'm all right. I'm still, wheeling myself along, and it's, I'm still trying to. What I'm trying to do, the whole thing with this is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to separate time, this sort of time where I'm talking like about this. I'm trying to separate that from other times so that I don't get caught up in it, because at the moment, with what's going on, it just seems to me as though there are more and more people that are becoming so entrenched in it that it's affecting their mental health. And I think we've got a huge mental health crisis. If we didn't have one before, we're going to have a huge mental health crisis after this is finished, if it ever finishes.
Good question. I mean, you're even saying, I don't know if you heard the World Bank thing on, I don't know who told me about it, but someone said about the World Bank has been saying on the website it's going to be until 2025. Have you heard that?
That's a long time, isn't it? It's a long time. That's 5 years was locked down.
Yeah.
It's a huge percentage of people's lives as well.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I thought about becoming a counsellor, training up and just becoming a counsellor, because I think in years to come, like you said, it's going to just have such a big knock-on effect that I think it needs a lot of people to help, minds and stuff.
Well, in what I do, and when I interview people, I do talk to some people afterwards and before and whatever. Some people just come on, and then they go off and they post the show wherever they can and what have you. But some people, more and more people, are calling me back at hours, unusual late hours. And I think there's a lot of lost souls out there, a lot of lost souls, and people that are now that are now lost souls are not being able to be with anybody who might be able to help. I mean, just for example, an old lady who's tested positive for COVID or something, she's got to stay isolated for 14 days. It's all right, Amazon or Morrison's or whatever, leaving stuff halfway down the path. I mean, I'll give you just a little insight, but my wheelchair was were knackered. The handles that you push the wheels around, where they kept getting loose, and I kept having to screw them back up, and they were coming off and what have you. So I rang up wheelchair services and I said, look, my wheelchair's this were right at the very beginning of the lockdown, and they said, okay, well, we'll send somebody round to have a look at your wheelchair. And what the idea was, he was going to take the wheelchair into his back of his van and do whatever needed doing, tinkering about with, and then bring it back. But what he did is he took he walked into the house, and you could tell he just didn't want to be anywhere near me. And he said, oh, he looked at it for a couple of minutes. He says, no, it's knackered. You're gonna have to have a new one. I said, well, okay, because the cushion that I have on it it had all split, and it were, you know, it rolled. And I had it 2 years, and it had all split and dried and what have you. And I said, well, can I have a new cushion? And he said, well, you'll get one with your new wheelchair. I said, no, I know, but that might be a while yet. And he says, okay, I'll go and get you. I've got one in the back of the van. I'll go and get you a cushion. So where I sit in my living room on the chair, there's a door there, and then there's the outside door to the side. Sorry, there's the outside door to the side. Well, I got that door open, so I said to him, I said, just bring me a cushion. So he went off to his van, and then a couple of minutes later, he comes back, opens door, and he just throws a cushion at me, and shuts door and goes. So it's just how scared people are, and there's no way of knowing who's not afraid, who's like you. If you're not afraid, I don't know about you personally.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah, but you don't know who is, though, do you? So you're standing in a shop and you ain't got a mask on because you refuse to wear I refuse to wear a mask. I'm on my mobility scooter, and I'm in a shop, and what I'll do is I will allow, the distance between the person in front of me and me, because I don't want to make them anxious. I'm sat there, I've got one leg, and clearly there's stuff wrong with me, and perhaps I see people in medical world quite a lot, which I do, because I have someone come round I have district nurses coming round, and so you just think to yourself, there's no way of knowing, I'm not bothered about the guy who's breathing down my neck behind me. That don't bother me, but I don't want to bother the woman in front as well, who it might be something that she's, or he, or they, if whatever we call them. That's suddenly gone down, hasn't it? All that trans stuff, it's just suddenly all disappeared. Everybody's just that. There's no death from anything else, just COVID. Yeah, but it's the anxiety you don't want to. You don't want to put on people. So I am respectful to people. If someone says to me, you can't come in without a mask, and I just say I'm exempt, and if that don't work, then I just leave. Simple as. I'm not there to make a fuss, and I don't really want to make a fuss. I don't think it's my job to go about shouting to everybody that they don't need to wear a mask, because I don't feel like I'm qualified for that. To say to somebody, don't wear a mask, I don't feel I'm qualified for that, right? But when it comes to the children, they've got no choice. They've got this, and the mummy's probably got a Mackenzie or a Burberry mask. There'll be loads on Skeggy Market if it's still open, but you'll be able to get masks or all sorts, and they'll have all sorts of logos on them and everything. So, it's a difficult time, and many people. There's many things, many different. What's the word? Many different things that can happen during this. There's so many different facets of it. That it's I don't know what your take on it is, or, the reasoning, or whether you think it's a real virus, and are we in debt? What's your thought?
I don't know really too much. Yeah, I mean, I know that there is something around, but it's not contagious and deadly as what the media and politicians are trying to ham it up to be. I think there is something going around, but nothing, to that extreme, really. And I think it's not worth the masks, and it's not worth all the lockdowns. It's not worth, putting us into this recession that we're going to be massively having anytime soon.
That's going to be more of a depression rather than the recession.
I think it will be. I agree. Yeah, it will be. And so, and like I say, just wearing these masks, I think it's just compliance exercise. That's what I think see it as, really. It's just compliance.
Yeah, and non-compliance can be severely punished, as we've seen. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sort of the protests. I'm sort of halfway with them, and I'm halfway not. If you know what I mean. I don't think it'll do any good. It won't change government policy, but it may open the eyes up to people who are walking past, who are generally, I don't think. Someone said to me, because in fact, it was AD.
Okay.
I said to AD, I said, "There's a protest in Sheffield. If you want to get down." And he just said his reaction we're just asking for something, we're begging for something. And I said, well, there is a different side to that. There is a different side. We're not actually asking and begging, but people walking past might ask questions about what you're protesting against. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. But as it happened, I'd done a show on Friday night, the night before the demonstration in Sheffield. I'd done a show, the Owen Lloyd Martin show, and somebody I'd got people phoning me up all night, so I didn't get to bed well about 5 o'clock. And so it was 2 o'clock. It was 2 o'clock when I woke up, and I thought, oh my God, I've missed it. But then when I found out it kicked off and stuff, I didn't want to. I was glad. I was sort of glad that I didn't get down there, because I would have been arrested. I know I would have been arrested. That's just me, Come and arrest somebody. Arrest me, make up some charges and what have you. But I remember us talking back last time you were on RN. We were talking about how they had brought up, and this were the propaganda, and this were the subconscious elements that were at work here. They brought up Eam, which is not too far from you, which were cut off during the plague, and it were sort of like not blamed, but it was. What's the word? Anyway, it contained it, and so the town of Eam, became famous for the town that contained the plague and what have you. And what a beautiful place it is as well. I remember, because we were talking to we weren't talking. I'd seen some videos actually in Eam where councillors were telling people to go home. Don't come, go home, don't come. I mean, if you're a business owner in Eam, that councillor, you want to go up and give him a slap and say, look, I'm not bothered about COVID, I'm not bothered about this, I'm not bothered about anything. If I catch something, it's my, if I catch something, that's my decision, it's my choice, it's my body. If I choose to believe one thing, then, it is my belief. And so, it's not gonna. You telling me to go home and not do stuff is is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Destroyed the economy of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts about? Have you heard the song "I'm Going to Wear My Mask Today"? Have you heard that?
No, I've not. No.
Oh, it's on YouTube. So it's like a man, woman, guitarist, man, woman, singer, and it's basically just like a children's song about I'm going to wear my mask today.
I'm gonna wear my mask today. They say keep sicknesses away. One piece of cloth across my face. I'm gonna wear my mask today.
And everyone, obviously like us, see it and like thumbs down, thumbs down. That's I think they actually take it off eventually. I think it's about 2,000 thumbs down on it because no one liked it.
but it's all over the place, isn't it? It's everywhere. Yeah. I mean, look, I've got adverts. I particularly watch adverts because I like to see what they're doing and I can see what they're trying to do. There's been a load of over 50s funeral plans.
It's June, Dad.
Hello, June. How are you?
Hi. You off hiking?
These came next door by mistake.
Sun Life. Must be my guaranteed over 50 plan. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the amount of pens they must have got through and Argos vouchers. Argos might be doing okay, but it's all over 50 stuff. There was even one called Dead Happy that arranged your funeral or not a funeral, just to get your body gone, to take your body away and lease fuss. And it's called Dead Happy, and and you think to yourself, that's just sick. That's just completely sick. I mean, who's death and happiness don't mix at all.
Yeah, same with like social distancing. Social distancing. It doesn't make sense either, does it?
No, it don't. No, it don't. No, but then again, the world's upside down, isn't it? The world's completely upside down. Anything that's perceived, you look at cancer charities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You say to people, they don't want to cure cancer. They don't want a cure for cancer because then the industry is gone. It's a £40 billion a year industry. And all this raise awareness, all this raising awareness of stuff that people already know about. I don't want to be rude, but if someone comes up to me in the street and says, "Oh, I'm collecting for breast cancer awareness," and my answer would be, I probably wouldn't, but this is what I'd like to do: is I'd like to then see a woman just walking past and just say, "Excuse me, miss, are you aware that you can get cancer in your tits?" And she'll go, "Yeah, of course I am." In your breast, I'll say breasts, but me vulgar. But and yes, of course, I know about that. There you go. Everybody knows about breast cancer. There's no need for awareness. Now, my daughter came to see me yesterday. She says, "Dad, I want to do She's 23, born in 1990. Yeah, 23. God, it's terrible, isn't it? This old age thing.
Oh, tell me about it.
She says, "I want to do a skydive and I want to raise some money." She said, "I want to do it for the disease that you've got, the illness that you've got, the condition that you've got, because nobody knows about it." And she said, "No, I'd like to raise awareness of it and do it." And I was really proud of her. And I thought, there you go. She could have just gone on bandwagon like all the rest of them, dressed up in pink, gone in a field, got all muddy, I'd name her a dead relative on the bike. And then all these people are doing it for the right reasons, but they're being tricked into doing it. And if you point that out, I said to one a few years ago, and she were a work colleague, and she was doing Race for Life. And I said, "Why are you doing Race for Life?" "Oh," she says, "well, because, instead of saying because everyone else is doing it, or the group that I'm in is doing it," she said, "Well, we want to raise money, we want to cure cancer." I said, "Well, how much did?" She says, "We did it last year." I said, "How much did you raise?" She said, "I raised really pleased." She said, "I raised £1,000. I said, "Well, all right. Well, that's one 250th of the CEO's wages that you've paid." And she got that's just a trigger then, because you're telling people when they think they're doing something good that they're doing. This is the same with vaccines. People won't accept that the child has been damaged by vaccines because it entails that they've done it. They've actually, because they consented, and they've actually injured their own child, which they won't do. I mean, there was a psychologist called there's a psychologist called Jerry Cross. Jerry Croft. Jerry Croft, and he does these. He's a professor, a psychology professor in America, and he does these lectures online. And he did one on crop circles. I don't know if you've seen it. I sent it to Andrew Johnson when I were in hospital, and it were really, really good. He got looked into crop circles, and he'd picked certain ones out, and he'd said why he believed. What he did is he picked every single argument that somebody might have apart, and then said, "It's up to you now. If you've took all them things away, it must be something that we've got no understanding of." And he showed one that said that there were one was some compound for vitamin A.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a vitamin A deficiency, particularly in Africa, which causes loss of sight and stuff like that. There were other ones, but they were all they all looked like warnings. The way that he interpreted them. His name's Jerry Croft. Anybody can look him up.
Okay.
And he does some really good lectures. Really good lectures.
I'll have to look at him. Yeah, I've not heard him before.
Yeah, he's an American guy. I sent the. Actually, it was last year when I were in hospital. I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I sent it to Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson replied, gave it a positive reply.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this guy's onto something. We're so. I don't know. We've been so brought down to this pen. Here, I can pick this pen up,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore this pen is in this region. This is all that's in that region is this pen. Whereas that's just utter nonsense, really. If you think about it, I mean, the things that we have around us, just because we don't understand them, let me say they're not there.
Oh, yeah.
Crop circles are another one of those things. I know people do. There have been people doing it, but they're going to do that. They're going to do that. That's what people will do. They'll try and copycat and become infamous, as a couple did.
Yeah, with the boards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Looking further and deeper. I mean, it's just that's what it's got to be about. It's got to be about looking further and deeper than what we see and what we hear, and why we're hearing it. Some things just don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
They just do not make sense. Well, one of those over 50s things, it's got these two old people and they're talking about over 50s plans, and funeral plans. And the woman says to the bloke, one of us is going to be needing it before other, a long time before other, and it's set out as a joke, but it's not really a joke, is it? I mean, old people are being, as far as I can see, as far as from what I've not no first-hand experience at all, but from what I'm seeing and what people are saying and what people are sticking the necks out, and actually, I think there were a nurse that was suspended. She were in a uniform at a protest. Mm-hmm. Now, fair enough, that's probably, but at least she was there doing something.
Yeah.
At least we need much more of that. We need much more of that, and we need much more cohesion. And we need to get on better. We need to learn to argue with each other better, because we're rubbish at it. We're absolutely crap at it. Arguing, you'll put a point to somebody, and they move on to a different subject.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah. I mean, social media is really unsociable for me. I've gone away from it a lot more these days. I really just feel like just advertising our planet stuff, and maybe just do a little bit of like COVID just to get people's awareness. But that's it. I don't want to get into arguments because, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. But what's your thoughts then, Jason? I mean, do you think we can, obviously, petitions don't work, rioting won't work because it's just violence and it just won't get us anywhere. So what's your thoughts? How can we progress? I mean, obviously, unite ourselves better, not divide us. What else can we do to get ourselves, evolving and make us better as a world? What's your thoughts?
Well, the fact of the matter is, if you go through history, I mean, Mussolini said it, and I quote this often. But Mussolini said in one of his really famous speeches, his first line was, "Blood alone moves the wheels of history." And I can't really argue with that, because we had a million conservative estimate, a million people on the streets against the Iraq War. The Iraq War still happened. Still, people died. Millions of people were you know, their entire lives were destroyed. You know, it's just imagine your life now and our life and anybody's listening, your life now. Just imagine if that's just all took away and you've got nothing, and there's nobody there to help you. There are people there that are telling you they're going to help you. They're not really going to help you. They might chuck you a few bottles of water, but yeah, they're not going to help you. And all they're there for is the stuff that's under your feet. That's all they're there for. Whatever minerals it is, whether it's oil, whether it's gold, whether it's lithium, whatever, anything that's good for them, they'll just take. They'll just take, and they're taking away our humanity as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely taking it away. I mean, we're weird enough, aren't we? Just think about it. We are weird enough. There's enough weird, strange people. Weird's a bit of a kind of got a bit of a sinister overtone to it, but no, just what's the eccentric? We are quite eccentric as a race, and we don't ever concentrate on what makes us the same. We always concentrate on the
differences.
The differences, and how that they are perceived. Those people on that side, they're perceived to get something more than the people on that side. You know, you've got the guys that you got this recently. I think Nigel Farage has been going to hotels and say, this is the hotel where all the immigrants are. These hotels, they'll be complete. They won't have a minibar. They'll have what they'll do, they'll be in these hotels that Jeremy Kyle guests used to go into. You know, no minibar, nothing. It's just going to be a bed. There might be a telly there. Right. Well, I spent a lot of my time during my working life, but back in the day, spent a lot of time in hotels, and I absolutely despise them. I think they're horrible places. I can't stand them. I don't know whether that were because they kept me away from my family, because of work, or whatever. And I stopped in some great. I stopped in regularly at the Headland Hotel in Newquay. Which, if anybody knows, it's right on top of a cliff. It's like from a horror film. You know, it might be a setting for a horror film, and you know, really windy. And I've stayed in some great places. I got a 3-bedroom suite, you know, and it just I hated it. So they're not going to be. They might think, well, at least it's a little bit better than when we were stuck under that lorry, you know, tied by a belt or something like that. But it's no life. It's no, especially when you come into what is essentially a hostile country, who, by the way, are responsible for you needing to get out of the place that you were in the first place, your home. Everybody wants to be at home. Nobody wants to go. You know, people like traveling and stuff and might settle down, emigrate, and go to different places. But your home is your home, and if that's taken away from you, but you know, if people say, well, they come through, they're supposed to stop at first safe country, and they come through here, and they come through there, and they come through that, and they come through this, and they get to Britain. Britain's not a fucking safe country for immigrants. Sorry about my language. It's not a safe country. It's a country where they can probably get treated better, than anywhere else. But and that's why they come. But it's our bombs that they're running from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we said before we started the show, it's 9/11 tomorrow. That's a huge part of it. That's the anniversary of the 19th. You wait, there'll be absolutely nothing on it tomorrow at all. Not a single thing. Next year will be different. It's the 20th anniversary. It's time to embed that trauma back into people's heads. There'll be people stood crying at these memorials that weren't even around, weren't even alive when that. All right, if they've lost a family member, or they never knew the dad or the granddad or their uncle or something like that, I can understand that. But it's this collective grief that really does my head in, where we've got to stand in a football stadium all silent, just simply because somebody that we never met, we're never going to meet, has died. Or, it's just it's morbid, and it re-emphasizes that trauma, and then it starts when we're getting to 20 years now. It starts traumatizing people that weren't even around at that time, and it's being embedded, and they're going to have this repeated thing of you. We'll never forget, never forget, never forget, never forget, never forget. Perhaps if we did, we don't not forget it completely, but it didn't happen to me. I don't know anybody who was in there. I don't know anybody that were there. Right? All the people that want to, because they've lost somebody or because they've got a particular reason, then fine. I've got no problem with him, remembering and having memorials and things like that. In fact, I've got no problem anyway. I'm just trying to point out that the idea of it is to implant another set. Let's just say you're my age, 50, right? I was 20, 30, I was 30, so when 30, 31. I was 31, 31 when it happened. So every year, I'm reminded of that. Every single year. And that because your subconscious mind doesn't have any concept of time, because you're being traumatized again, it's as though in your subconscious that it's happening right now. That's the feeling that you get. And so when this is why people, when you try and forget something that's happened in your day, and you really just want to forget about it. And what your subconscious mind does is it sort of takes that away and protects you from it, because that's all it does. Your subconscious mind protects your conscious mind. So anything that's in there that might send you a bit, it might upset you, trigger you, traumatize you, it'll take it away and put it. But it adds up. So now, 19 years, I've had 19 years, and most people who are around then have had 19 years of that trauma, all stacked on top of each other. 19, some big, some little. But when it comes to ones that are, quite big, the 10th, it usually goes the 10th, then the 25th, that's the next major one, and then be 50th, and then perhaps 75, and then 100. But 10, 25, 50, and 100 are the key ones, the real big ones, which is why in 2017 it was such a big thing, because it needed to re-traumatize everybody about a war that nobody was around for. 1914 to 1917. Not many people are still alive today. There's not many people still alive today. So, they're going to be traumatized by that as well. Older people. My granddad, he was in Second World War, and he was in Africa. And he never he never spoke about it. He never spoke about it because my dad used to say to me, I've tried to talk about it. He says he won't talk about it. He said that because I kept asking him when I were a kid, how many people did you shoot? You know, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like a kid would.
Yeah.
And he says he's never answered, never talk about it. Anyway, not long before he died, my granddad, he used to remember when Freeview boxes first came out, and he got one, and because I was the closest. Well, I weren't closest to someone next door, but because I was the only one technically minded, I'd always have to go around and sort it out because he couldn't help farting about with it and fiddling with it. And, you know, sometimes I'd get home and he'd have rung up again and said, well, picture's gone, you know, and all that sort of thing. And I sat and talked to him about it, and he just, you know, you could see tears in his eyes, and you could say that it's traumatizing him again. He's having to recount. Maybe he's, you know, if he's killed somebody, nobody's well, unless you're a psychopath. If you've killed somebody, it doesn't matter in what context. It's gonna traumatize you, no matter what. And so I don't know whether he were trying to protect himself, but we did have quite a good chat, and yeah. But you know, something I'll keep with me rather than sharing. But yeah, it's all about trauma, and the trauma of is being piled on top of us. We're being told that schools are, you know, going to need masks, and some schools are closing down. Now they're doing lockdowns in different places where, you know, I think Sunderland were one that we're talking about, and Manchester, and even Leeds at one bit. That's trauma. That's traumatizing. So somebody who's in Leeds, some old geezer, old couple, let's say, they're in the 70s, and suddenly they can't go out anymore. They don't know rules because they don't really understand. They don't watch Sky News. You know, they're not keeping up to date. They probably don't have a newspaper because newspapers are dead anyway. Who has a newspaper? The newspapers go back to the days of when you used to get your milk on your front doorstep. You know, that doesn't happen anymore. But these people are then told by family or visitors and what the rules are, and they don't know, and it traumatizes them. And some people will go out because they won't go to shop. They've got money and things. They won't go to shop to go and perhaps get some gas or electric or stuff like that. Things. Such a destructive thing, and I just cannot work out why it's been released at this time. And I don't know whether Boris being Prime Minister was the last key to the plan. You know, he was the last guy that needed to be in place before they did this plan. I don't know, but that event 201 in October, that everybody knows about. You know, the stuff's all there. It's whether or not you've got the I'm not going to say balls or all like that, but if you've got the inclination to have a look into it and think, well, this is a bit weird. You know, if you're an old person, and I know I don't think like everyone else, but you know, if I were an old person, I'd probably be thinking, well, you know, there's nobody. I've not had a phone call from anybody telling me that June or Flo or what have you down the road's died. Someone might have died in a care home that they know, but you know, I don't. And you get to a certain age, at 50, when people start dying, don't they? People around you, people that are your age, they start dying, various things, and I suppose it increases as you get older. And so, again, trauma, that they might die, such and such hasn't spoken to us for a while. Are they all right? don't want to ring up just in case something has happened, and then the older people are more likely to say, I didn't want to be a nuisance, or I didn't want to put my nose in. So it's a huge trauma-based mind control. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Wear a mask.
Yeah. Just compliance, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wear a mask. Just comply. Wear your mask. Those that aren't doing it, they're going to get stuffed into the back of a police car, fined 10 grand. I don't know what they're going to do with magistrates' court when they're trying to get these 10 grands from people. It's just the whole thing. It baffles me. It really baffles me. Usually, I can work something out. If something happens, I can work out why it's happened. This has happened, that's happened, this has happened, that's happened, and it's usually seasonal. So, but in September, or in the 6 weeks leading up to September 11th, usually on the TV, there's all plane incidents, incidents involving planes. And I remember one year there were even one where it was in 6 weeks before September 11th. And there were a photograph that emerged that had been posted on Twitter of a woman, and this was on the actual American Airlines. I think it were either American or United Airlines, and she'd got one of them planes, those planes that they get out to kids and that, but it were really quite big. It was sort of, big, and she's using it for other things. Completely stark naked, on the table, legs akimbo, with the nose of the plane inside her, and so she it got took down fairly quick. But it's a few years ago now. If anybody wants to look back, it'd be about 2014, I think. But if you look back, it's a plane problem. Anything at all. It doesn't have to be a plane crash. It's just if there's a plane problem, because when there's a problem and it involves a plane, your first thing is 9/11.
Yeah.
And not terrorist related. Why do they need to say that? They don't believe it. It's not terrorist related. What are you saying that for? Was it related to? Is it related to my underpants? Not underpants related. It's just it seems. But the language is incredible. Studying the language, and I had a row with who were out of the night? Neil Sanders. Not a row, but we had he thinks this died of and died with is argument is nonsense, which I don't agree with. I mean, if it's died of, then fair enough. But if it's died with, it's sort of like, well, hang on, wait, I've had a heart attack with what? With chips. I had heart attack. Yeah, chips with that. He had an heart attack, but it weren't chips related.
Yeah, it's the same. Like he died on the bed with his parents next to him. It's not died with from his parents causing it. He died. Yeah, that kind of thing. It's good play with words, like you say.
It's crazy. His language has been ruined. Our language has been ruined. I mean, you can't say gay now. Instead, you can't say gay in the way happy. You can't. It's gone. You can't do it.
No.
You've got your gay now is homosexual. Well, hang on a minute. Whose language is it? And this is not me against homosexuals. This is just me against people that try to impose what they want, their wishes, upon me.
Yeah.
I once put a Facebook post up that it just suddenly occurred to me mind, and I wrote it that anybody who tries to impose their will on somebody else is a piece of shit. Anybody who wears a uniform and tries to impose somebody else's will on you, they're a piece of shit's bitch.
Right.
Because that's what they are. They are. The government, the crap. Well, they do my head in anyway.
Yep.